on my thoughts for this week as we approach the new moon in Aquarius. Well, we just got through a couple of eclipses for you. Very intense. And, you know, the window between eclipses is always, you know, a time that calls us to really step up, look at where we're at balance, because what eclipses do is they take us to the polarities, to our extreme dark and extreme light, or our extreme feminine, masculine, so that then we can find the balance. So now that we've gotten through that, hi Julie, thanks for joining me live. I'm just going to walk you through what I think are the, what would you say, the players on the field that are really going to be impacting us around this new moon. So first of all, it occurs at 15 degrees Aquarius. So if you've got your natal chart, and if you don't, you can get a free one online from astrology. I've just totally forgotten what it's called, astro.com. No affiliation with me, but there's lots of great apps out there as well. You can always have your chart with you on your phone. I use Astrology Gold. The Australian one is great. So look at what is sitting at your 15 degrees Aquarius in your personal chart if you really want to get that laser pinpointing how this moon is going to be personally initiating you to grow. But for the collective, which is my focus, we've got a few what I call ominous influences happening this moon. The first is we have Black Moon Lilith joining the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury, the planet of communication, all in Aquarius. And Lilith, for those who know the archetype of Lilith, she was outcast for being too outspoken, but she is the feminine archetype of the wild woman who says what is often taboo or, you know, socially unacceptable is necessary if we're going to be in our truth, in our power, be authentic, and you know, be in right relationship with power, so that we're not doing power over or, you know, trying to rule others by using the victim archetype, by being passive aggressive. So, you know, it's a call for us this new moon to look at our relationship with power, in particular how we're using our energy. Because Aquarius, if we think about the glyph of Aquarius, it goes like this. It's kind of like these two jagged lines, and they represent energy. There's a lot of confusion with Aquarius because, you know, it's known as the water bearer, you know, this dude with the jug of water, and so it can be mistaken as being a water sign, but it's an air sign. So Aquarius asks us to go into the place of great ideas come from, which is the higher mind, yeah, to really go beyond the limitations of our conditioning of the small, critical, rational mind and think big. So this is a time for cloud busting, for daydreaming, for making space in your schedule to just be, so that you can avail yourself of those big ideas. You know, it's the archetype of the visionary. So for us to have great visions and great ideas, we often need a vista or a place to contemplate that offers us, you know, a 360-degree skyscape or a view of the horizon, so that we can really think beyond our small details and our small-minded goals, and think about how what we're doing influences the collective and vice versa. Because, you know, the lesson of Aquarius is to, you know, dream the impossible dream, yeah, whether it's Martin Luther King or, I'm trying to think, is it Don Quixote from? Anyway, so hopefully someone will up in the chat there. Hi everyone, so nice to see you joining me live. Nice not to just be talking out into the void. So yeah, you know, to dream the impossible dream means that we need to dream holders around us. So that is people, Native American expression, who really encourage the highest vision we have for ourselves and for the world, you know, our highest purpose. And, you know, it's said that if a teenager has just one person that believes in them and their potential, then they have more chance of realizing it. And, you know, the same is true of our gestating ideas, our creative children. You know, it's important that we don't expose them to the dream stealers, the naysayers who, you know, come up with all the small critical reasons as to why it would never work, you know. So I remember the first time I got guidance to do a tour, and I was on welfare as a single parent. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And you know, someone was a dream holder after I said, right, I'm going to do a crowdfunding campaign, and he stepped forward and said, if you don't make the money, I'll give it to you because I believe in your vision. And equally, I had somebody who said initially she was going to come on board and help event manage it, and she pulled out because she thought it was madness to invest up front, which you have to do with a tour. You've got to pay for insurances and venues and, you know, all the flights and the accommodation, you know, it just goes on and on before you get the bookings. She said that was madness. At first it crushed me, and now I'm used to doing that. I'm used to living in the future, building the scaffolding out there in the dreams, which is what we're all doing now thanks to the World Wide Web. You know, we're learning to be manifestors by using the World Wide Web, using this network of people to create something in this cyber world in order to then manifest it in the physical world. So, you know, that's very much the challenge, if you will, this new moon. You know, whenever the moon is new, it's when we can't see it in the sky, and so it's a time of darkness. You know, if you went out to do a picnic wee in the middle of the night, you wouldn't see the moon. So what it can do is it can bring up the shadow traits of the sign that the new moon is in. So if we think about shadow Aquarius, it's someone who has these great ideas but never takes the steps to build them. So they remain pipe dreams. And this can be the case if, you know, they're just smoking weed and thinking about how great things could be, or they're all talk, okay? They're talking, and it can what we're doing. We talk about stuff, but we're not actually doing it, yeah? So the lesson of Aquarius is to develop our ideas so that we can be an instrument to reform what we don't like about the status quo. You know, if we think about Uranus, who is the mythic hero of Aquarius, he's like the prodigal son. And he's the one, like Luke Skywalker, who stands up to the Dark Father, who stands up to the corrupt power brokers of the status quo, you know, attorney and influence, and says, hey, this is not working for the all. It's only working for the few. And so, you know, we've got some influences that are happening. We may see eruptions with, you know, the people demanding a fairer outcome for all, and it's certainly high time for that. But we've got to be careful how we do it, because, you know, the shadow can be a rebel without a cause, someone who just rebels for the sake of it, you know, like, oh, I'm so angry. You know, the guys that are watching all the videos about the shadow elite and just smoking a lot of weed and, you know, getting very angry. The challenge is to be the change, you know, and this is what the great Eris, the great thought leaders like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and, you know, John Lennon were inspiring us to do, to actually be the change. So I think another look at, I'm just jumping back to the Astro Oracle, which will come out this week. So we've also got Mars, so the planet, that fiery ball of energy that patriarchy interpreted as the god of war. But really, I see Mars as the planet of action, okay? It's the masculine drive in all of us. And Mars, this new moon, is going to be forming an exact conjunction, which means from Earth will appear as if it's on top of planet Eris. Now, if any of you have seen the kids' cartoon movie Sinbad the Sailor, you'll see Michelle Pfeiffer played a great Eris. Eris is the goddess of chaos, right? Which is the feminine. You know, it's the void, it's the expect the unexpected, which is kind of the theme of an Aquarius new moon anyway. It's how comfortable being in the void and surrendering everything to mystery. So if we were not going to navigate this well, what that would look like is change happens and the Mars immature part of us throws a tantrum that this isn't what I planned, this isn't what I wanted, yeah? Rather than trusting that anything that swipes us, anything that happens particularly during new moon in Aquarius is ultimately propelling us forward into our highest future. So if we are out of alignment with that, if we're not on that time track, if we're not taking right action, moving towards fulfilling our highest destiny, something is going to come in like a bolt of lightning and act as a catalyst to help reorient us on our path. So don't get caught up throwing a tantrum about it. Actually bless it and then go, okay, so how is this blessing? So then the day after the new moon on February 2nd, we have the moon conjunct Pluto. So appearing as if it is on top of, I still think of Pluto, call me old school, as a planet, not a planetoid, because it got diminished in status due to its size, very patriarchal, being a size queen about, you know, the power of a planet due to its physical size. Pluto is Hades, is the lord of the underworld, if we're looking at it from a mythic perspective, and that is the feminine way of viewing astrology. We're looking at the mythic story that we are all playing out in the universe, the one verse, the one story as a collective. And so when the moon is conjunct Pluto, you're going to feel this influence leading up to the new moon, and of course on the exact new moon, but especially the day after on February 2nd, on which side of the date line you're on. Pluto will often take us subterranean, and some of you, myself, may have felt this in the recent total lunar eclipse. You feel like you're eclipsed by your own shadow, by your own wounds, by your own healed aspects of your psyche, but you get from that. If you access the inner mystic, which is what the moon illuminates for us, you know, the moon, when we've got the moon working for us, when we're really harnessing our feminine gifts, our feminine strengths, we have that mystic on board who can look at everything symbolically and make sense of what seems irrational. So if you find yourself in a bit of a mood, okay, the moon can certainly evoke moods, especially when conjunct Pluto. Instead of creating a story about, you know, oh, I'm no good, you know, I'm feeling like shit because, you know, this is happening in my life, look at it and go, okay, I'm being taken into the parts that are uncomfortable. I'm experiencing darker thoughts, darker feelings that don't feel good, but I'm going to go into this rather than running away from it. Yeah, the mystic is inquiring. It's like, all right, stay curious. What is this bringing up? What is needing to be understood? What is needing to be healed? Journal it. Access a trance state, whether that's through art, whether that's through writing poetry, whether that's through going for a walk in nature and chanting. You know, anything repetitious takes us into that state between the worlds. And it's in that state that we can then access the mystic and make sense of what feels overwhelming for the child self, the lower self. Now, this new moon is also the Chinese Lunar New Year. So what we're going to see, you know, dragon performances, firecrackers going off all over the world in, you know, Chinese precincts, which is great. It actually only pertains to the northern hemisphere. And I know that's a pretty audacious thing to say, but it was the first new moon of spring. So those of us in the southern hemisphere that are finishing our summer doesn't really apply. Although everybody the world over will be acknowledging we're now entering the year of the golden pig. So what does it mean? Well, if you think about a pig, it has a big appetite, yeah? So this is an opportunity for us to expand our world, expand our experiences, particularly if we, you know, are patient, if we work well with others, if we get put in a consistent, reliable effort, and we're gentle, we're generous of spirit, we're hard. If we flip to the shadow, which is, you know, slothful laziness and gluttony, maybe not, yeah. So pigs are also great listeners. So yeah, this is likely to be a very pleasurable year for many. So think about how you combine, you know, your service to the world with pleasure, so that, you know, like the infinity sign, you're you know, finding the journey pleasurable, even though you're being of service. So what else do I want to say about this? Another sort of shadow Aquarius thing that we can fall into around new moon is becoming so detached that we're not embracing the opportunity in the present moment. Yeah, in other words, escaping reality and calling that detachment. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? Well, you know, Aquarius, being an earth sign that is a water bearer, can often not want to get emotionally entangled, not want to get wet. Okay, so, you know, this is just a bit of a thing to be mindful of, that we don't avoid really feeling or emotional intimacy because, you know, we're trying to transcend our emotions and be, you know, above them. This is, you know, a trick of the mind. The emotional body is just as divine as the physical body, the mental body, the etheric body, the causal body, the feeling body. So it's important that we honor our emotions, because they often hold a key to our healing. You know, they bring up what is not healed. So yeah, it's important that we, you know, don't become so detached that we think that we are, you know, doing non-attachment, but we're actually just checking out. You know, it's like the quintessential hippie that drops out of society and thinks they're being oh so spiritual, but really they're avoiding getting hurt, you know, which is inevitable when we bump up against the human shadow, you know, or the people that are just, you know, smoking weed to avoid their reality. The challenge is with Aquarius to create a reality where we're living our dreams. So we're really excited to wake up and take part and participate in something which connects us to everybody. So just on that, you know, this is about us remembering that we're all in this together. Okay, so we've got to get along, and that instead of being a xenophobe, someone who's afraid of differences, that we look at the differences and really celebrate diversity and how that enriches our life. You know, for instance, you know, the cities that are the most multicultural have incredible fusion cuisines, you know, and all the gifts that we have when we get this intermingling of culture. So, you know, and it's often the more polarized places where people are clinging just to their culture and are afraid of other cultures, that become very narrow-minded. So you know, as we enter the Aquarian age, and also in this new moon in Aquarius, you know, we may get called out on the ways that we are being xenophobic, you know, afraid of other cultures, or in the extreme being bigoted or racist. Similarly, we might be called out on how we're still living in the old Piscean paradigm of duality rather than being in the Aquarian paradigm of oneness. So Aquarius asks us to really get in the flow of energy by, you know, not being attached to our past, to materialism, but to really trust the flow of life by giving away what we don't need, and yeah, trusting that we will be provided for if we are focusing on our service and how, you know, we can support the collective, trusting that we'll be taken care of. You know, if we don't trust that, we're likely to stay in a job that is slowly killing us because we're trying to meet our own security, but at a cost to ourselves and a cost to the all. So Aquarius asks us, how can we do things differently? How can we reform the situation? How can we improve things, especially by coming up with innovative solutions that are mutually beneficial for everybody? So, you know, this is how together through people power, step by step, we are changing the paradigm which really did not serve the collective. So interesting that we have Uranus, the planet that rules Aquarius, now in the final degree, 29 degrees Aries. Now the final and the first degree, so 0 degree and 29 degrees, are the critical degrees of a sign. It's kind of like final exams being at 29 degrees. So it's like, well, what have we learned as Uranus has moved through Aries and being a slow-moving outer planet? You know, this has been a big lesson for a very, very long time. I think it's 84 years, you know. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. It's 7 years that Uranus spends in a sign, bit of a difference. So over the last 7 years, Uranus has been in Aries. Now it's in the final degree before it moves back into Taurus. It was in Taurus for a little while last year. So what is the lesson? Well, it is asking us to, you know, be that rainbow warrior who takes up the fight within rather than, you know, having a chip on our shoulder and being at war with everybody. Okay, so you know, you'll recognize those that are taking up the fight for the collective are usually those that have already taken up the fight to heal themselves, because if we don't do that, whatever we seek to do for a cause, we're going to bring all of this wounded, angry energy to it, which actually undermines our objective. Yeah, the example I'll give is, you know, if you see someone with a placard and they're on a peace march and they're like, we want peace, when do we want it? Now, because they haven't dealt with their inner conflict, so they're not at peace in themselves. So, you know, again, it's about embodying and being the change. So, yeah, look, that's pretty much it. That's all I've really got to say on the matter. Wendy says he's starting to feel this. Maniac. So, yeah, has anyone got any questions? I don't know if I can answer them, but I'll certainly do my best. Those of you that are watching live, pleasure is my word for 2019. Love it, Stacey. Perfect year of the pig. Attachment is disassociation. I love that insight. Thank you, Valerie. That's a great insight to share. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Oh, I made a mistake. It's February 4th is the new moon. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry about that. Bit of a bum steer. It's late in the day here. And yeah, look, you know, new moon is the time for intention setting. So I thoroughly recommend doing a daily gratitude practice where you're taking the awareness to the galactic center and you're literally seeing in your own creative matrix what it is that you are happy and grateful to now be manifesting, okay, in your waking world. But especially when the new moon is in a sign, we can focus on manifesting the potentials of that sign. So, you know, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm now being aligned with my highest purpose, my highest destiny, and I surrender to that in every way. That would be a great affirmation, which, you know, you can do that sitting on the loo or in a shower. You don't have to do some fancy ritual, but, you know, lovely to see that, you know, at exact new. So if you want more info, check out the Astro Oracle, which will be out this week. And thanks to those of you that tuned in live. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. Is the shadow manifest as negative? Well, no, not necessarily. Thanks for asking the question, Mimi. The shadow is what we don't give credence to, what we don't see, and that can be the gold. That can be the good stuff as well, yeah? So, yes, the shadow is often what is wounded because what is not being acknowledged often festers, you know. If we don't bring the light of awareness to it, if we don't understand it, it's hard to then validate it and to embody the strengths of it. But it's kind of like, you know, opening Pandora's box, and you'll often see, you know, in your psyche when you go down into your subconscious, be it through guided meditation or hypnotherapy, the stuff that isn't healed, that isn't integrated, but you'll also then get the gifts of, oh, wow, you know, a lightness of being, and often remembering some of the things that you used to love doing as a kid that you gave up on because as a teenager and a young adult, they weren't cool anymore. So, you know, when we do shadow work, when we go in and we actively seek to embrace the parts of us that we've disassociated from, that we've disowned, we then are becoming more whole. We, you know, we are able to draw upon the hidden strengths of those aspects. And every aspect has light and dark in it, you know. Like when we heal the wounded, we call back more of the magical child, the child full of wonder. You know, if we do that shadow work, we don't have a lightness of being. We don't have a spontaneity. We don't laugh freely. We can't appreciate beauty when it's in front of us. So, you know, whilst it may sound ominous to do shadow work, it is the work of a light worker to bring light to the shadow. So, yeah, rather than just, you know, being all love and light, we need to go down those steps to the basement and look at, you know, what's sitting there and do a bit of a junk clean out. All right, well, have a great week and blessings on your new moon, wherever you are and however you spend it. But remember, we're all part of this together. If you can just spend 1 minute visualizing the world that you want to live in, okay? All colors and all creeds living together in harmony, where the energy, be it resources, be it food, be it free energy, be it wealth, is distributed fairly amongst the people, amongst the masses, and not amongst the few. And where Mother Gaia is honored for all the resources that she gives to us, and, you know, we'll all be much closer. And to do that every new moon is even more powerful. So I'll share on my Moon Woman Facebook page the video I created that acts as a visualization, manifestation intent to that end. All right, blessings everyone. Thanks for joining. And if you feel to share this, then please do. All right, ciao for now. Interesting, I'm going into shadow as I'm talking about it with the sun setting.